These are the most memorable fights in UFC history where cocky fighters got completely humiliated and humbled by their opponents.
F him and his mentality. My heart is black towards this man. I don't give a f about him or his people.
You're dead when I get my hands on you, do you hear me? You're f***ing dead.
He's got it, it's under the net. There it is.
There's the tap. Still undisputed. Khabib Nurmagomedov has finished Conor McGregor tonight.
In this video, we'll be covering 50 of the best examples of cocky UFC fighters receiving some serious bad karma, so sit back and let's get straight into it. Nate Diaz versus Conor McGregor. After steamrolling everyone in the UFC featherweight division and capturing the belt by knocking out Jose Aldo in only 13 seconds, Conor McGregor decided to move up to lightweight to fight the then champion Rafael dos Anjos in 2016. Unfortunately, the Brazilian pulled out due to injury, but the show went on with Nate Diaz jumping in as a last-minute replacement. The fight that took place at featherweight had an electrifying build-up, with McGregor using his trademark psychological warfare against the Stockton native.
I like Nick's little bro, you know what I mean? How can you not like him? He's like a little cholo gangster from the hood. But at the same time he coaches kids jiu-jitsu on a Sunday morning and goes on bike rides with the elderly. He makes gun signs with the right hand and animal balloons with the left hand. So you're a credit to the community. Fuck you. Fuck you. I don't give a
They want you to give us a quick count to 10, both of you gentlemen, if you don't mind, just if you wouldn't mind counting to 10.
Nate can only count to 5. 10.
Oh.
Count to 5, Nate, will you, if you can?
You count.
You up with that coffee.
I ain't counting. How about
and
that?
who do you up with that coffee?
Nate, how much of the purse you're going to take home do you owe to Conor McGregor?
I don't know him.
Anything
me.
over 40 grand he owes me, because that was his last paycheck. I wiped my with that money. I tipped that money.
Unfortunately, McGregor's cockiness backfired. When the two entered the cage at UFC 196, McGregor fired on all cylinders in round 1, rocking Diaz multiple times and bloodying him up, but failing to finish him. In round 2, McGregor was exhausted after punching Diaz in the face dozens of times. Diaz took advantage of the Irishman's wearing cardio, hurting him on the feet before choking him out on the mat. The champ was down, but not out.
It stings real bad, but this is the fight business. I've been on the end of many defeats in my life, and I've rose back, so I will not shy away from it. I will not make excuses for it. I will assess it and come back.
Ben Askren versus Jorge Masvidal. Heading into their UFC 239 welterweight matchup, Ben Askren was a UFC newcomer, undefeated at the time, a former champion in 2 different professional MMA leagues, and super confident that he was going to destroy Masvidal.
I don't give a damn. If George has reservations at the IHOP and doesn't want to come to work, I'm not missing an opportunity. He wouldn't say my name. It was like this little thing that he does. And George needs to know, I don't get full on a 3-piece and a soda. He better bring the whole damn family meal for that night. You are not really secure with your own masculinity that you see. Oh my God, he said something. I need to go prove I'm tough. Hi-yow, I am tough. There is no way on God's green earth this guy could do anything to me. It's totally impossible. I will do whatever I want to this person. I will dominate them. I will humiliate them. And when I grabbed George, even though I was only 2 months into my MMA career with no fights, that's how I felt about it. I think I'm very far in his head and under his skin.
Askren did most of the trash talking leading into the fight, and Masvidal refused to talk back, simply waiting to punish Askren for weak trash talking attempts.
I don't really care too much to do a lot of talking, especially like going the back and forth with an idiot like Ben. If he was like comical or funny or witty, it'd be different, you know, but he just says a lot of crap and hopes that something sticks on the wall. I'm happy I get to bust this guy in the face and get paid for it.
When the cage door closed, Masvidal rushed forward and blasted Askren with a massive flying knee, knocking him out cold in just 5 seconds to set the record for the fastest KO in UFC history. And when asked about the follow-up punches after the knee, Masvidal was quick to back himself up.
I saw some criticism. People say the punches weren't really necessary. Maybe
They were super necessary.
Askren wasn't sad about the loss though, because Masvidal corrupted his brain cells that were tasked to store that night's data.
Saturday night was least traumatizing for me. There's a little part of my memory that's blank there, but man, you know, I remember being in the cage with him. I don't really remember the flying knee. And then when I can recall, I remember everything. I was like, oh shit, I lost to George Masvidal. This freaking sucks.
Sean Strickland versus Alex Pereira. Alex Pereira entered the UFC middleweight scene in 2021 as a dominant two-division Glory kickboxing champion, and with just 2 quick wins in the promotion, he landed a title eliminator against the loud and trash-talking Sean Strickland at UFC 276.
There's not one Glory fucking kickboxer in any fucking weight class that I couldn't stand and bang with. So don't fucking tell me just because you're some big fucking Brazilian, you knocked out Izzy 20 years ago, that fucking I can't stand with you. Come on, motherfucker. Get out of here.
Strickland went on to claim Pereira wasn't that good of a striker and even mocked his fighting style.
You're not even a good striker, bro. Like, what is Pereira? Like, dude, the only reason to do that is because you're fucking tall, man. You're genetically gifted. If you were a normal sized fucking human being, you wouldn't even fucking be here. Your style sucks.
Thinking Pereira wasn't as good as advertised, Strickland stood right in front of the big man, trading shots recklessly and paying the price. Midway through the first round, Pereira unleashed a vicious shot that sent Strickland packing with the follow-up. Strickland learned his lesson the hard way.
The shitty part about it was, you know, during the round I kept thinking, man, this is going to be an easy fight. I see everything this guy's throwing. I'm getting the better of the exchanges. I'm going to beat this guy up for 3 rounds. And then halfway through, I got caught. So hats off to Alex. He's a killer.
Petr Yan versus Aljamain Sterling. In their first fight at UFC 259, Petr Yan was a scary champion who was expected to annihilate a contending Sterling. For the most part, he did exactly that. But then he drilled his opponent with an illegal knee in the 4th round, and it all went down the drain for the Russian. A vast majority of MMA fans thought Sterling milked the opportunity to the fullest, play acting like he had been hit by a truck. Regardless, Yan was disqualified and Sterling was awarded the belt, although he wasn't too happy.
That's not the way I wanted to win. That's not the way I envisioned this.
However, after days of getting brutally flooded with Oscar memes by MMA fans who thought he was acting, Sterling started celebrating his undeserved win. When the UFC booked a rematch between the two at UFC 273, there was way more interest in their second fight compared to the first, and things went up a notch in the press conferences where Yan ridiculed Sterling, saying that Aljo would look for another excuse after they're done fighting.
It's gonna be Aljamain looking for another excuse. He didn't eat enough or he pants.
Yan then said that he was the real champion.
I think here as a real fans, who knows who the real champ is.
Yan even sent a stern warning to the champ, and that too in English.
Hello guys. We know who is his guys. It's only clone guys, yes? You only want to pay per view. I kill him in Saturday.
The Russian was the fan favorite as the crowd roared every time he talked, but Aljo was convinced that if he beat the challenger, the fans would jump on his bandwagon.
100%, I finally get to shut this motherfucker up, and it is going to be so sweet. Everybody in here, I guarantee everybody here is going to be cheering, and all of a sudden they're going to be back on the bandwagon, you know, so that's just the way the fans are.
The odds were heavily in favor of Yan, given how he was cruising in the first fight, but Sterling was about to ruin the afterparty by flipping the script completely. On fight night, Sterling took Yan down and backpacked him to secure the first 2 rounds, and fought him in a back and forth battle in rounds 3, 4, and 5 to win a close and what many thought was a controversial decision. Regardless, Sterling was happy to have the last laugh.
Baby, we did it. We did it. We did it the way I wanted to do it. And this time remove all doubt, show that that last one was not anything even close to what I'm capable of doing, you know? And for the people who question my skills, who's laughing now? How about those clown emojis now?
Jan didn't say much after the fight, and the only time he spoke, he complained how he was robbed.
I think I won this fight, and I got robbed.
Michael Johnson versus Justin Gaethje. Gaethje entered the UFC with a ton of hype and for solid reasons. The Arizona native was 17-0 with 15 finishes and 5 successful World Series of Fighting lightweight title defenses. However, Gaethje's first UFC opponent, Michael Johnson, wasn't impressed with his resume.
I'm here to win this title, and I'm not here to welcome guys from the C League in here, you know, but at the same time, yeah, of course, I'm gonna welcome him into the UFC, and it's not gonna be a good night for him, hands down, you know.
Johnson fired a ton of unnecessary shots and even went as far as issuing some serious threats to the most violent man on the planet.
I got 2 months to get prepared to take somebody's life in this cage. I'm not trying to beat him. I'm not trying to win by decision or a point. I'm literally gonna try to take this man's life. And if you're not,
to die.
And if you're not ready, you're not ready to die, don't show up.
I am ready to die.
I'm telling you right now, that's breaking my mind.
Breaking
You're in a
piece
bad
by
night,
piece,
boy.
artistically breaking you.
I eat my whole. I don't take piece by piece.
Naturally, there were consequences, first during the face-off when Gaethje flipped Johnson off, and then inside the cage where Johnson hurt Gaethje a couple of times, but the highlights shots were bigger and better, and every time he dropped Johnson, he told him to get up and take more punishment. Gaethje ultimately won by a TKO. Johnson didn't immediately react to the loss, but a couple of years later, he called for a rematch with Gaethje.
On your entire resume, who would you like a rematch with?
Justin Gaethje.
Darren Till versus Tyron Woodley. Darren Till, whose rise in the UFC wasn't as spectacular as McGregor's, still gained a ton of hype around him, especially with wins against Donald Cerrone and Stephen Thompson, which earned him a shot at the welterweight title against Tyron Woodley at UFC 228. The UFC PR machine was fully backing Till because they allegedly wanted to get rid of Woodley since they thought the champ was too boring to draw big pay-per-view numbers. Till was way more exciting, and the UFC allegedly pressured the champ into taking the fight, according to his coach.
He felt kind of pressured into taking this fight. He knew that it wasn't really the right time for him, and it might not even have been the right fight for him, but he felt like he was kind of pressured into this fight. So he said, you know what? I'm going to keep my mouth shut, and I'm going to show the world what I'm made of.
Woodley certainly kept his mouth shut pre-fight, as Till chirped more than he should have, saying that he was the best welterweight in the division.
He's defended the belt so many times, he's beaten the best in the division. Why are you the guy to take the belt off him?
So I'm the best welterweight in the division. He's the champion, you know, respect as the champion, but that doesn't change anything. You know, I'm still coming to knock him clean out on September 8th.
Till also thought he was better than Woodley's former opponents like Carlos Condit.
He says he's come up against the Carlos Condits and all that, and yeah, big respect, but I'm a different animal from them. Like, I'm like a smart sniper. Like, Condit's good, he's got a load of strikes, but he hasn't got my intelligence and my power.
The Brit was so confident heading into the fight that he wanted nothing less than the best version of Tyron Woodley.
I need the best Tyron Woodley on that night. I need the best Tyron. Because I'm going to beat the best Tyron.
Darren's wish was Woodley's command as he brought the best in him, ending the hype train once and for all with a second round submission victory. In the post-fight interview, Woodley took a subtle jab at Dana White, who many thought wanted to see the champ lose.
Have you spoken to Dana White?
Oh, I haven't spoken to him yet. Did he already come in here?
No.
He left. Oh, no. I hadn't talked to him.
Till was humble in defeat as he found solace in the fact that all greats of the game lost at one point or another.
I am still going to be the greatest, I know that. You know, I just spoke to Woodley backstage and he's lost. John Jones has lost, George St. Pierre's lost. All the greats have lost. And you know, that's my first loss tonight, and you know, it just, right now, I'm still okay, but I'm just upset.
Unfortunately, the Brit failed to recover from the loss as he faced setbacks in 4 out of his next 5 fights before parting ways with the UFC. Ronda Rousey versus Holly Holm. Before Rousey met Holly Holm at UFC 193, she was regarded as the scariest woman in MMA, who decimated opponents with judo throws and armbars for years, so she was naturally favoured to take down the rising superstar Holly Holm too. Heading into the fight, there was a ton of animosity between the two, with Rousey saying that she was the better striker, despite Holm being a multiple-time boxing and kickboxing champ.
She's a 19-time boxing world champion, not MMA world champion, and I believe that I'm better than every other girl in every
every area of MMA. MMA striking is different, and I think I'm the best at it.
The pre-fight face-off was intense, with Rousey later calling Holm a fake sweet person.
I told her that fake sweet act is, I see right through it. I really do. It was all fake. All until now. All that respect, all that everything, all you being sweet, I see right now that it's fake and you're going to get it on Sunday.
Needless to say, they refused to touch gloves. As soon as the bell rang, Rousey came forward with the intention to kill, but Holm circled off while tagging her with crushing left hands. By the end of round 1, Rousey was exhausted with her nose badly busted up. In round 2, a desperate Rousey was dispatched with a brutal head kick followed by ground and pound. Heartbroken at her first career loss, Rousey stormed out the cage and away from everyone's sight. Holm cried too, but for completely different reasons.
I can't even explain how blessed I am and how fortunate that I have such a great team.
A few months after her loss, Rousey appeared on Ellen and revealed that she felt like dying by deleting herself after the loss.
I was like down in the corner, I was sitting in the corner and I was like, what am I anymore if I'm not this? And I was literally sitting there and like thinking about myself.
Almost a decade later, Rousey claimed that she was already badly concussed before the Holm loss, insinuating that she would have beaten Holm if she was 100%.
I was just trying to make it look like I wasn't hurt, but I wasn't there cognitively. I couldn't think as fast. I couldn't judge distance, and just from that one fight, everybody felt like, oh, she's a fraud.
Holm believes Rousey is simply too salty to give her the due credit.
It's probably just hard for her to really want to maybe admit that I was just the better fighter.
Conor McGregor versus Khabib Nurmagomedov. The rivalry between Conor McGregor and Khabib Nurmagomedov is the ultimate clash of fire and ice, which all started after Khabib slapped Conor's teammate Artem Lobov for talking trash during a hotel run-in before UFC 223, where Khabib was fighting Al-Iaquinta for the lightweight title. Fueled by fury over Khabib's crew intimidating Lobov, McGregor and a crew of his own teammates jetted from his hometown Dublin all the way to New York and stormed the Barclays Center on UFC 223 Media Day, attacking a bus that Khabib and other fighters were on.
Oh, shit. What the f***? You alright, Mike?
Regardless, Khabib ended up defeating Al-Iaquinta for the title, and a few months later at UFC 229, McGregor and Khabib were set to finally clash in the cage. Naturally, the build-up was drenched with tension, with McGregor sparing nobody from Khabib's team.
Khabib's father, lick arse, fucking Houlihan, post a picture of Kadyrov at this mosque, and Khabib's father posted a picture up, and the caption is, "Together we are stronger." That if the tables were turned and there was an opportunity for his father to stab that man in the back, he would do it in a heartbeat to take over.
His manager is a fucking snitch, terrorist, rat.
McGregor went on claiming that he'd never be friends with Khabib.
My heart is black towards this man, towards his team, towards his people. I could truly see the inside of that man's head and smile. I don't give a f*** about him or his people. Like I said, there is way deeper shit than just a fight on Saturday night. So it is what it is. I'm here, I'm gonna settle this the noble way for myself and then see what happens after that.
Khabib quietly tolerated McGregor's verbal jabs in the lead up to the fight, yet he was the one who delivered the final warning.
I wanna say Alhamdulillah, God gave me everything. Alhamdulillah, I know you got this, you don't like this. Alhamdulillah, tomorrow night I'm gonna smash your boy, guys. I'm gonna smash your boy.
And that's precisely what Khabib did. Inside the cage, Khabib dismantled McGregor, first sending him to the canvas with a massive overhand right before unleashing a barrage of ground strikes. McGregor managed to survive, but Khabib ultimately sealed the deal with a submission in the 4th round.
He's got it, it's under the neck. There it is.
There's the tap! Still undisputed! Khabib Nurmagomedov!
However, the drama didn't end there. With McGregor done and dusted, Khabib leaped out of the cage to dropkick Dylan Dennis, McGregor's teammate, who also talked a bunch of trash before the fight. Khabib's rare moment of madness quickly escalated into the biggest brawl in UFC history, resulting in suspensions, fines, and a sincere apology.
Nevada, sorry. Vegas, sorry. And Alhamdulillah, undisputed, undefeated UFC lightweight champion.
Aljamain Sterling versus Sean O'Malley. Before Aljamain Sterling and Sean O'Malley's bantamweight title fight at UFC 292, Sterling was starting to be acknowledged as the greatest bantamweight of all time, since he had legit wins over champions Petr, TJ Dillashaw, and Henry Cejudo. But when the UFC started bullying him into a sooner than expected title defense against O'Malley, he didn't like it. As a result, Sterling fired off a ton of jabs directed at his opponent, claiming that he wasn't good enough.
My thoughts on Sean O'Malley is that is frail. Frail. You think if I could take down a short, stocky guy like Henry, who's actually a gold medalist and has good takedown defense, what am I going to do to Sean O'Malley? Like, let's be honest here, guys. Like, yeah, he's been promised the title shot. He opted not to take the title shot and gave Henry a chance to come back and chase history. I beat Henry. Now there's no more running.
Why run when you can win? Not only did O'Malley completely neutralize Sterling's wrestling and grappling, but he also cracked him with a vicious counter right in round 2, followed by ground and pound to teach him a good lesson and take the bantamweight belt in the process. Sterling had nothing but nice things to say about O'Malley in the aftermath of the KO.
It sucks. I mean, I'm not going to lie about that. There was a lot coming into this fight, you know, the quick turnaround, everything, but I was happy to do it. No excuses. Sean, yeah, he did a good job of the one thing I knew he would be good at, and is that step back counter. And yeah, it's just a good shot, man.
Sean O'Malley versus Merab Dvalishvili. Heading into UFC 306, bantamweight champion Sean O'Malley said he felt like a king among peasants, fully convinced that he'd run through his challenger Merab Dvalishvili.
I feel like my confidence right now, I need to be humbled fast.
I know.
I need to get back to the gym and get humbled fast.
Please
because
do.
I can't even stand myself at this point. Like, I wake up just fucking smiling. Like, holy shit, you really are. You really are a king, living amongst these peasants. I'm gonna put on a masterful performance. I'm put on back-to-back masterful performances. This is gonna be another one, the biggest one of them all. Merab's on a 10-fight win streak.
O'Malley carried that confidence into the press conference, guaranteeing a brutal knockout.
And you know, I think I'm gonna get it done the way I always get it done. I'm gonna put this dude face first.
The challenger wasn't lacking confidence either, riding high on a dominant 10-fight win streak.
Keep dreaming, nobody knocked me out yet, nobody. Keep dreaming, Sean O'Malley.
On fight night, O'Malley was made to pay for his words as Merab dominated with clinch work and takedowns from start to finish. Midway through, he even found time to kiss O'Malley on the back, to which he then turned his back and almost got knocked out right after. So anyway, O'Malley did hurt him late in the 5th, but it was too little too late, and Merab was crowned as the new bantamweight champion by unanimous decision. Despite suffering his second career loss, O'Malley was mentally still undefeated.
I won this shit, but it still hasn't really hit me with anything, right?
That clip went viral and O'Malley received a lot of backlash from fans, to which he responded claiming that his opinion stood firm.
It's funny, people are saying, you just have a bunch of yes men around you. I'm like, if you watch round 1, 3, and 5 closely, no commentating, 3 judges supposedly thought I lost a fight, but when I watched it back, I thought I won the fight. So it's like, I'm gonna let these 3 judges and a bunch of fucking idiots on Twitter say that I lost, when I watched the fight back and I was like, hey, there's an argument for round 1 that I won the fight.
Merab, however, obviously saw it differently.
And I was ready for everything. I was ready for war, but I see his power, I see his everything, and he wasn't coming. He was waiting for me. And how tricky he did against Aljo, I tried to do same. You know, like, if you don't want to come to me, I'm not gonna come. And so yeah, nothing surprised me actually. You know, I make him look normal.
Jorge Masvidal versus Kamaru Usman. From his KO of Askren and Darren Till to a BMF title win against Nate Diaz, 2019 was the year of Street Jesus, which earned him a shot at Kamaru Usman's welterweight title on just 6 days notice at UFC 251, after Gilbert Burns pulled out as the original contender. Though Masvidal was underprepared for the biggest fight of his career and lost by a decision, he still put up a great fight, and that made him call for a full camp showdown with the Nigerian. Following the fight, he tweeted, "I took your nose for 6 days. 3 weeks, I take the belt. Full camp, I take your head off." In every single interview, Masvidal reiterated that he would take Usman's head off with a full camp.
He cracked me one, he had a good right hand on the fourth round on me, where, you know, I thought he was gonna shoot it and he just clocked me in the face. And I looked him right in the soul and I was like, man, you could never hurt me. And that's why he never wobbled me, he never dropped me or any of that stuff, you know.
If Kamaru takes a fight against me on 6-day notice with 20 pounds of cut, I finish him in the first or second round. That's a great fighter. He doesn't go to decision with me, and he knows that that's why he was hugging me for dear life.
The BMF champ continued to fire shots in the build-up to their showdown.
Jorge, I see the BMF belt is on the table. I was wondering, is that on the line in this fight?
You gotta be a BMF to compete for that one, and this dude ain't it, so.
Usman had a few things to say as well.
You got 14 losses in your career, 7 in the UFC. You're 3-3 in your last 6. You are sitting there today because I chose you.
Given the heated rivalry between the two, fans were expecting 5 rounds of non-stop action.
You guys know what I bring to the table. I'm gonna knock this motherfucker out.
When the cage door closed, however, Usman launched a monstrous right hand in the second round that folded Masvidal like a lawn chair. The KO was so brutal that even Masvidal himself was impressed.
I didn't feel that he could knock me out, but man, did he come through and deliver on that day for himself.
Kamaru Usman versus Leon Edwards. Usman was a dominant champion with 5 title defenses when their rematch was booked, and naturally he was oozing with confidence even though Edwards hadn't lost since their first fight and was on an 11-fight win streak.
He's a very, very tough individual, but he hasn't lost because he fought me. You know, I made him better, and he went out there and he started wrestling. But when he fights me again, he's gonna realize that that wrestling was all for nothing.
Usman beat Edwards by a decision after 3 rounds of wrestling in their first fight. If it was a 3 rounds and 30 seconds fight, the Nigerian claimed that he would have finished the Brit.
You cannot finish me, champ. Trust me. You got it in you, bro. I didn't hear you. What'd you say? You can't finish me. I can't finish you. Nope. Give me 30 more seconds in the first fight and I would have finished you, correct?
Shut up. No, you wouldn't.
You forgot? You want to watch the replays?
You held me for 2 rounds. I watched it.
You want to watch the replays? I held your hand and I was beating the side of your face in.
Usman also thought that his striking was better than Edwards, who is widely recognized as the best technical striker in the welterweight division.
Of course I fell in love with my striking. That's why I have more knockouts in championship fights than he has in the UFC his entire career.
To downplay Leon's skill set, Usman even brought up the infamous moment between Jorge Masvidal and Edwards in 2019 when the American sucker punched the Brit in a backstage brawl.
He is a very, very good striker. And you know, they were singing that too. And we all saw what Masvidal did to him over there in London.
Inside the cage, Usman dominated for the most part, both with his wrestling as well as striking, but just 30 seconds before the end of the fight, Edwards pulled off a miraculous head kick that shut the pound-for-pound #1 fighter's lights out. It was the greatest upset, comeback, and head kick knockout victory of all time, according to Joe Rogan.
One of the wildest head kick knockouts, I think the most important head kick knockout ever.
Usman was both humbled and impressed.
It was a great shot. A great shot. I'm talking Hail Mary to the Super Bowl. In the Super Bowl, last 10 seconds, that was a great shot, man. Hats off to Lee.
King Green versus Paddy Pimblett. Paddy Pimblett is different, and for many reasons, like his Ketwig haircut, his dancing, his love for junk food, and his cocky attitude. But his skills inside the cage have so far helped him avoid being on the wrong end of the cocky guys getting humbled list. In his most recent fight at UFC 304, however, Pimblett fought an equally cocky guy in Bobby King Green, who felt that Paddy was scared of him.
Have you ever met him?
No.
Was there a UFC where you were sitting behind him? I remember you were filming him.
Oh yeah, but it said we never met. He was being a little, he didn't want to look at me or give me the attention. So I'm gonna get your attention sooner or later. I don't watch his fights, so I really don't know much about the guy. I just see him doing this little thing. I'm like, who does that? Who does that?
Green also claimed that he had to work harder than Paddy to earn his spot in the UFC.
The UFC's working with him, giving him every opportunity. They're building you. I had to earn it. They had to put me through the fire. I've been forged by fire. You, they built you, you know, and there's a difference between us too. Everybody wants to see him get his ass kicked. Sheesh.
Paddy fired back at Green, pointing out the key difference between them, which is winning fights and keeping fans hooked.
Talk shit, lad. Know what I mean? I made myself, lad. I promote myself. I win me fights. Know what I mean? It's hard to say that I'm a spoiled kid. Know what I mean? It's mad. Just because I put bums on seats, lad, I got a pair of shorts and you never. Don't need to cry.
Pimblett was so mad at Green's trash talking that he predicted a brutal knockout.
No, I'm gonna come out and try and take his head off his fucking shoulders.
The two even had a heated face-off, and there was no love lost between them when Green walked out, pointing at his rival. When the cage door closed, both men exchanged nasty low kicks. Pimblett landed the sharper ones, dropping Green and forcing him into a takedown. The Brit defended it well and then caught Green in a guillotine before transitioning to a triangle choke and putting the veteran to sleep in the first round. Despite the heated build-up, Pimblett praised Green for being a game opponent post-fight.
It's nothing but respect with Bobby. Hopefully when I get back to the hotel, we get to see each other and have a little ale with each other or something.
Green took it on the chin like a warrior.
I had a bad night. No excuses. Happens. I live by a code, kill or be killed. Today I got killed.
Dominick Cruz versus Cody Garbrandt. Cruz was a dominant bantamweight champion when he crossed paths with Cody Garbrandt backstage at UFC 202 a few months before their fateful showdown. That same night, Cruz went off on Garbrandt during the post-fight show, firing shots long before they stepped into the cage.
I mean, it wasn't anything crazy. It was just an exchange of words and understanding and looking at each other in the eye and understanding we're going to see each other very soon, my friend. It pretty much came down to, you know, I didn't like what you said about me on some of these interviews, Dom. It hurt my feelings, basically, is the way he said it to me. He didn't say those exact words, but he might as well have. It was in his eyes. They were getting teary and stuff. And I was like, sorry, man. I'm going to have to embarrass you in front of a lot of people, so.
The pre-fight presses were just as fiery, with Cruz using his mic skills to dismantle his hot-headed opponent, so much so that Garbrandt stormed out of a one-on-one interview.
Welcome across there right now, dude. You're a room away.
Go ahead. Come over here.
Yeah.
Come on, turd. Let's go.
Unhook me.
Oh, I hope he comes. Bring it. Come on. Come on. Come on. You coming? You coming, little boy?
Before the fight, Garbrandt had no answers for Cruz's verbal jabs, but once the cage door shut, the tables turned as he outclassed the champ, bruising, battering, and dropping him multiple times while showboating his way to a dominant unanimous decision win to claim the title. Despite the heated build-up, Cody showed nothing but respect in his post-fight interview.
Dominick's a great champion. He's arguably one of the best bantamweights to ever grace the octagon. And it was a pleasure going out there and testing my mettle. You know, I had a lot of, you know, what ifs, and I think I solved every one of them.
Cruz, however, kept the same energy.
Dominick, obviously a tough night for you tonight.
What was tough about it?
Walking away with the loss, of course.
Loss is part of life. If you don't have loss, you don't grow. This isn't tough, this is life. After seeing the look in his eyes a couple times when I punched him, when I kicked him, when I fought him, I'm not disappointed in myself at all. All I can say is I lost, and I'll take my loss like a man.
Joanna Jedrzejczyk versus Rose Namajunas. At one point in time, the UFC strawweight champion Joanna Jedrzejczyk was considered the best female fighter in the world. The former kickboxer joined the UFC in 2014, won the strawweight belt in only her third promotional fight, and then defended it a record 6 times by putting on one striking clinic after another. But then her success got in her head, and for some weird reason, she turned into a boogie woman.
Boogie woman is coming tomorrow, and she doesn't know what's coming.
Against Rose Namajunas, Joanna turned into a serial trash talker and chose to target her opponent's struggles with mental health.
But I think this press conference is a little bit too much, and after the second face-off, she's going to be more stressing out about our fight on Saturday. So I think you cannot be the champion because you just can't do this. You can't deal with the media. You cannot deal with the pressure. It's too much for you.
Namajunas stayed quiet throughout, though she did make a prayer during their face-off.
You know what? I will take your soul. You don't know shit about being a champion, and you're never gonna be a champion. I give you no chance. For the first time I face someone like me. Believe me, I'm taking your soul with me. Okay.
MMA gods answered Rose's prayers at UFC 217, where she exorcised the demon by dropping her early before knocking her out cold.
There's the tap. That's it! It's over! Unbelievable!
As rowdy as she was pre-fight, Jedrzejczyk took her loss on the chin and gave credit where it was due.
I never take fights personal, and I'm not emotional. When I'm fighting, everything went so smooth during this camp. It was very long camp. For 13 weeks I was training with American top team. You know, just big surprise, and this is what happens. Big congrats to Rose. I'm happy for her.
As a multiple-time defending champion, Jedrzejczyk got the immediate rematch, to which Namajunas also won by unanimous decision.
I'm just better, man.
Jamal Hill versus Alex Pereira. When Jamal Hill got his shot at UFC 300 to challenge light heavyweight champion Alex Pereira for the belt, he wasted no time to start explaining how he was going to destroy the champ.
And you are known for knocking a lot of guys out, so do you see this fight playing out that same way where you're going to knock out Alex?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, 100%. I see myself as superior everywhere. I see myself as a superior striker, as a superior grappler, as a superior clinch worker, as a superior thinker, as everywhere. I'm superior to him in everywhere in this game, and I'm gonna show the levels to that. I've seen that he's not on my level. I've seen he's not on my level. It's not close, and I can't wait to get in there tomorrow and show that.
Hill's cockiness continued into the press conferences, where he said he was going to sleep the multiple-time kickboxing world champion.
I make no doubt I'm here to put him out. He gotta go to sleep.
Hill's antics didn't stop during the final face-offs either, as he brought in Pereira's widely recognized symbol, a stone-faced prop strung up with a chain, which he went on to smash on the ground, indicating what was coming for Pereira. But unlike the build-up, the fight itself didn't drag on. Both fighters started off cautiously, reading each other's movements, but then Hill threw a body kick which referee Herb Dean thought was a low blow and intervened to stop the fight. However, Pereira quickly indicated that he was fine and waved the referee off, and the fight resumed. Just a few seconds later, Pereira landed a left hook that dropped Hill like a sack of potatoes and followed up with some heavy ground and pound, sending Hill packing just 3 minutes into the first round.
Oh no, it's a left hook again. Boom, boom. It must be jarring, the power that he hits you with.
Ever since his loss, Hill has been campaigning for a rematch to prove that he has what it takes to beat Pereira.
For me now, it's not even about the gold strap. It's about getting back to that fight. I want to fight with Alex again, just because of the narrative surrounding it and everything. And I know what I was feeling in there, and I know what type of time is really on whenever we step in there again. So I just want to get to that fight. That's the fight that I really want.
Hill has been following Pereira wherever the Brazilian goes, and the American was most recently seen yawning after Pereira's UFC 307 main event win against Khalil Roundtree. Israel Adesanya versus Alex Pereira. Israel Adesanya and Alex Pereira, the two names I just mentioned, go back a long way. When they met for the first couple of times, they were high-profile kickboxers with tons of accolades to their name. Izzy was the technical counterpuncher, whereas Pereira was a technical but aggressive power puncher who beat his rival twice, once by decision and the other time by a brutal one-punch knockout.
左手平勾打到黑龙了。
Years later, the two faced each other in a trilogy at UFC 281, where Adesanya put his middleweight title on the line. The last style bender was a dominant champion with 5 successful title defenses to his name, so he was naturally oozing with confidence and cockiness heading into the fight.
I fucked this guy up in the first fight. Not crazy, but the judges gave it to him. Second fight, I had him on skates, and I made a judgment call, an error in my part, and it was a beautiful story for him because in his backyard, down 2 rounds, on the 3rd round, he comes and knocks me out. That's a beautiful story for him. Go back to UFC 92, Vanilla Silver versus Rampage Jackson. That's a clear example of how I see this going the 3rd time. He who laughs last, laughs best, and I'm gonna have the last laugh.
The battle played in Adesanya's favour too, for the most part at least. He won the striking and grappling duel, and he also rocked Pereira badly in round 1. But just as it seemed like Izzy was on his way to a solid win against his kryptonite, Pereira landed a thunderous left hook that had Adesanya lose track of his whereabouts.
Down goes the champion! Pereira trying to close the show! Don't do it! He did it! Has done it! He did it again! Alex Pereira, the undisputed middleweight champion!
And Izzy accepted defeat, but had his eyes on revenge.
The 5th round, I was up, and he hurt my perineal nerve. So that's why my footwork wasn't as sharp as I wanted it to be. So I was trying to find ways to get off the fence, but my feet kept on dragging. My left foot kept on dragging. And that's why I tripped that one time as well. It was really annoying. But yeah, it is what it is. But I'm still here. I'm leaving.
And to be fair, Izzy came back with his eyes on the prize and took out Pereira in their rematch at UFC 287 with a huge knockout. Michael Bisping versus George St. Pierre. In his second title defense, Bisping faced off against George St. Pierre, who was making a much anticipated comeback after a 4-year hiatus since retiring in 2013. GSP walked away from the sport because he didn't want to compete against fighters he believed were using steroids, and only decided to return when drug testing policies were far stricter. However, Bisping fired shots at GSP by insinuating that he ran away from tougher competition.
George, listen, while you were away, because you were so scared of everybody taking steroids, I was man enough to still be fighting those guys. You went away, you went and chased aliens. I don't know what you did. No one gives a where you were or what you did. You're coming back, the sport is a different place, game over.
Bisping talked a ton of trash heading into the fight and made fun of GSP's accent.
George is a lizard. George is a boring bastard. George does take people down. I've only told the truth. Only told the truth. Is George a great UFC, MMA, martial artist? Yes, he is. Have I prepared accordingly to beat that guy and raise my game? Yes, I have. Thank you, George, for just making me put that nail in the coffin.
Are you intoxicated or something?
Are you intoxicated?
The Brits' constant jabs ultimately got under the skin of GSP, who warned Bisping that he was about to humble him.
Water is wet, fire burn, and I'm gonna beat Michael Bisping. I'm gonna do whatever I wanna do. I'm gonna strike you, I'm gonna put you down, I'm gonna submit you, I'm gonna restrike you if you stand back up, I'm gonna do whatever I want.
So you're gonna look...
Whatever I wanna do, when I wanted to do it. That's what I'm gonna do.
This is the new George St. Pierre, everybody. It's coming back a better version, right? You're gonna do the same thing. Jab, jab, double leg. The easiest game plan ever.
When the cage door closed, GSP beat the brakes off Bisping, cracking the champ with a mean left hook followed by relentless ground and pound. He sealed the deal with a perfectly executed rear naked choke that slept the champion in the 3rd round.
Take him down.
I've been waiting for this for 4 years, and I did it, man. I'm very happy.
Bisping was humbled in defeat.
I didn't win. You know, ultimately that's why we do it. George was the better man. I felt good in there. Just got clipped. That's the way it goes. You go down, he locked up us. He was very strong. You know, he had a good grip. I was trying to fight his hands. You know, not a lot more you can say, really.
Israel Adesanya versus Sean Strickland. The feud between Israel Adesanya and Sean Strickland began at the UFC 276 pre-fight press conference after Strickland, who was fighting Alex Pereira at the event, began teasing Izzy about getting knocked out by Pereira in their kickboxing days.
Who's the best striker on stage?
I mean, I would say me, but I mean, that man was the one that slept that man, so, you know, next to me, probably Alex. I mean, what was it like, 2-0 against Izzy? What was it, 2-0?
Did you watch the whole fight?
No, I don't watch
Exactly,
fight.
do your fucking job next time.
Oh, I'm just joking. Hey, Izzy is a savage, bro.
Hey, watch
No
out.
doubt.
Hey, what happened before we walked on stage?
Hey.
I smacked you on the ass like my bitch. Tell you what, if you win this fight, when we fight, I knock you out, I'm gonna do a TikTok dance over your grave.
Oh, fucking, look at this. Grown-ass man on fucking TikTok. Maybe that's the problem, bro.
And the
we don't
fuck
want this
what?
guy's a champion.
Do something about
We
it.
don't want this guy as a
Do
champion.
something about it then.
About a year later, Izzy was set to defend his title against Dricus du Plessis at UFC 293, but after Dricus had to pull out due to injury, Strickland stepped in on a little over a month's notice to face Adesanya for the middleweight belt. At this point, Izzy was oozing with confidence.
You know what? I'll leave it at that. I don't think he has the chin. He just has the gas tank, maybe. Sunday, I'm gonna knock this motherfucker out. That's all I give a fuck about.
It doesn't matter what happens there. All that matters is the fight. And he knows he's outgunned and outmanned in this one. And I'm gonna go John Wick on this man.
But when fight night came, Adesanya and the whole world was in for a surprise, because despite being a massive underdog, Strickland came out looking sharp and he almost knocked Izzy out in the first round with a big right hand. Though Izzy managed to survive, it only set him up for a 5-round lesson from Strickland, who completely dominated and outclassed Izzy in every round and won the fight by a unanimous decision to claim the middleweight title in the process. Adesanya was left battered as Strickland walked away with the crown and then got over it quickly.
To be sitting up there with that belt, tell me about it.
I mean, I'm pretty much over it now, guys. It was exciting for like a month, a minute.
Adesanya didn't do much talking post-fight, leaving the press at the mercy of his coach, Eugene Behrman.
Win or lose, I wasn't gonna say much anyway, but right now, I lost tonight to the better man on the night, and I just want to go with people, be with people who care about me, my team, and they're waiting for me, so I'm going to do that. But I will leave you in the capable hands of a man who is much smarter than me. I'll admit this on worldwide, national media. I'll leave it with Eugene Behrman. He'll handle this.
Once Behrman had the microphone, he made what many thought were excuses.
I think Sean's a great fighter, and I never once thought that Sean wasn't capable of beating Israel. But I thought if Israel performed to the fullest of his capabilities, it would be a very hard fight for Sean.
Henry Cejudo versus Aljamain Sterling. In 2023, Cejudo returned after a 3-year hiatus to challenge bantamweight champ Aljamain Sterling. Cejudo had vacated the belt in 2020 after beating legends like Demetrius Johnson, Dominick Cruz and TJ Dillashaw, and he was banking on a grand comeback, but his past success got to his head.
I'm coming back to make history, and he happens to be my 2-0 fight. I'm gonna get rid of him, I'm gonna get rid of O'Malley, that's right, I said it, and then Volkanovski's next, and you can't deny me no more.
Why exactly have you chose to return now, and what was the inspiration behind it?
Because it's easy money.
Cejudo went on claiming that Aljamain sucked and that he'd finished the fight without question.
I love the challenge. I love the fact that people are going to doubt me. And I think that's another reason why I'm back too. You know, it's I love being the underdog. Like I've been my whole life. And I think that's why. And I personally think Aljamain just sucks. I'm going to stop this dude under 3. And I promise you that.
After all the talk, Cejudo piled pressure on himself to deliver, but when it mattered, he faltered as Sterling edged him out in a 5-round war, winning by a close decision. Cejudo was badly dented by the loss, and he looked very emotional.
It's hard, man. I'm such a fucking competitor, man. I don't think people realize that. Like, to me, it's all or nothing. If I'm not first, I'm fucking last.
Cejudo's competitive fire has pushed him to fight twice more since then in an attempt to bounce back, but he lost both and now finds himself in a tough spot. Colby Covington versus Leon Edwards. At UFC 296, Covington secured his third welterweight title shot thanks to him being a good company man and serving as a backup for Leon Edwards vs Kamaru Usman 2 at UFC 286. And for the umpteenth time, when he got booked to face Leon for the belt, he resorted to his absolutely no-filter trash talking to sell the fight.
Do you think Leon might be a tougher fight for you than Usman?
No, it's a way easier fight than Usman. I mean, I fought Usman when he was in his absolute prime. This guy got lucky at a Hail Mary in the end of the fight to save him. So who's he beat besides that? 40-year-old Cerrone, 40-year-old fucking Nate Diaz, like Ricky Waters? Where's his resume so impressive? He's literally got the personality of a fucking slug. He makes Usman look like James fucking Brown.
It knocked you out.
He didn't knock me out. He didn't knock me out, dude. He never fucking knocked me out. The ref had to cheat. I beat his for 5 rounds straight.
Edwards didn't take Colby seriously until he talked about the champ's father, a former Kingston gang member who was shot dead in a London club over a conflict involving money in 2004.
Literally, you're so fucking stupid. On Saturday night, I'm gonna bring you to a place you never want to be. I'm gonna bring you the 7th layer hell.
Okay.
No, I'm bringing you to 7th layer hell. We'll say what's up to your dad while we're there.
Oh!
Edwards was infuriated, yet Colby continued his relentless verbal assault.
Fuck pussy. Look, he's got his ultimate feeling champion. He ain't no ultimate fighting champion. He's ultimate feeling champion.
Credits where it's due, the champ got a hold of himself pretty quickly.
After that situation, did things just get a bit more personal between you two?
Not really. You guys are a piece of shit, but make sure you get that same energy backstage. That's all I'm saying.
Make sure you save that fucking energy in the ring Saturday night.
Get that energy backstage?
Yeah, I will. We'll see you in the ring Saturday night, bitch.
When the cage door closed, Edwards remained one step ahead, using his elite striking to crack Covington, all while defending takedowns to win by a comfortable unanimous decision. Colby kept the same energy even after his loss.
Leon mentioned in the cage how your comments at the press conference really sort of emotionally hurt him, and he struggled with that, and the death of his father still weighs on him heavy. Do you maybe regret those comments and think, actually, okay, that was one time I maybe did go a little bit too far?
Not at all. Why would I have sympathy for a trafficker, someone who's impacted and hurt a lot of people's lives? You know, the truth always stings the worst in the world. So, you know, no, I don't feel bad about that at all. Let's talk about all the victims that he left behind that are surviving of the trauma and the turmoil that he put these people's lives through. So I don't feel bad at all. Why would I feel bad for a criminal?
Edwards didn't have nice things to say about Covington either.
He's a coward, and he's always been a coward. You know, even he lost the fight, he keep making excuses that I won the fight. Even Usman knocked him out and broke his jaw. He's like, yeah, it was Mark's fault. It's always someone else's fault when he loses, you know.
Kevin Holland versus Khamzat Chimaev. Naturally, as top contenders in the same division, when the two came face to face in a hotel, they almost threw hands. The funny thing is, Chimaev thought Holland was a hotel staff member and the Chechen wanted the American to clean his room.
He pushed me and said I was the help. I mean, you know what I mean? We did start a cleaning business, but goddamn, I don't work at the hotel, you know what I mean? And don't tell the freaking people you don't know who I am when we got in a little thing at the thing. I don't know, man. The guy's, he's playing a role.
A couple of years later, the two somehow ended up facing each other after Chimaev messed up an opportunity to headline UFC 279 against Nate Diaz after he missed the welterweight limit by 7 pounds. On the day of the press conference, Chimaev, Holland and Diaz ended up brawling backstage, which forced the UFC to cancel the presser. Dana said that Chimaev provoked Holland and the American was having none of it.
I was just trying to tell everybody that, what are you doing? What's going on? Stop. Everybody stopped, but they were all so fired up. You know, Kevin and I are actually really close, you know what I mean? And he wasn't having it.
Holland later said that Chimaev only acts tough around cameras.
He only does this extra wannabe street shit. Media's around. Other than that, he doesn't do it. So, yeah. I mean, when you guys aren't around, he wants to do fist bumps and he wants to be your best friend. When you guys aren't around, when you guys are around, then all of a sudden he's like, I'm gonna rip your head off. You ain't ripping, dog. Let's be real. You want a paycheck just like the rest of these guys around here.
Chimaev claimed that Holland was the troublemaker and that he'd make him pay on fight nights.
He talked a lot about me, so now he has to answer for that in the cage, you know.
When the cage door closed, Chimaev proved to be the better fighter and by a very wide margin. He absolutely steamrolled Holland before submitting him in the first round. A few months later, Holland reiterated that Chimaev was the one who started the backstage brawl, but he wouldn't want to mess with the Chechen again.
Did you start things or did you finish things with Khamzat Chimaev backstage?
No, it seems like he always finishes things. He starts them, finishes them. He just fuck up, you know? I'm staying away from that guy.
Khamzat thankfully squashed the beef too.
The guy actually nice guy, so I like him, you know. So sometimes we don't like each other before the fights. It's all normal, you know. Then we're coming for the war to kill each other. So now this war, like if he wants, like he can come to my gym.
Jamal Hill versus Yuri Prochazka. With both Jamal Hill and Yuri Prochazka both coming off losses to Alex Pereira, their fight at UFC 311 was a must-win. Hill, however, believed victory was inevitable, convinced that his loss to Pereira was nothing more than a fluke, and that Yuri's loss was due to being dominated.
Your last performance, you got dominated. Dominated and knocked out. Completely shut down, completely exposed, right? And then got done bad, bro. You did bad. I got caught. You got dominated. It's a huge difference.
Hill even went as far as saying that Prochazka got lucky in most of his fights in the UFC.
We talking about a dude who is getting his ass whooped in every fight that you've been in. And because you are, you know what I mean? You can take some shots. And people get tired and they make low IQ moves. The only reason why you became the champ is because Glover made a low IQ move in a moment. And you took advantage of it. Good on you.
Hill spotted holes in Prochazka's game and was ready to exploit them.
Do you see any patterns or trends that you feel like you can take advantage of against him?
100% I do. Yeah, I see the openings. I see ways where I can implement my skill set and be dominant.
Prochazka wasn't worried about Hill. His focus was locked on the real mission, reclaiming his title.
I'm looking to be a champion again.
The difference in mindsets showed on fight night. After 2 thrilling rounds, Prochazka was visibly wearing Hill down. In the third, Prochazka proved this when he landed a massive right hand and knocked Hill down, to which he briefly recovered before getting knocked down once again and finished to ground and pound. Hill was humbled at long last.
Obviously, the fight didn't go the way that I wanted it to. Got to give a shout out to Yuri. He made great adjustments. He looked really good. Brought in some new elements to his game. That was good to see. You know, wasn't able to get the win. Ultimately, just had fun out there. I really had a good time. Enjoyed the fight. Had fun while I was in there. Going back and forth. It was a war.
Colby Covington versus Kamaru Usman. Going back to their first fight at UFC 245, Colby Covington had already been talking trash about Usman even long before they were booked, but once they did get booked, he took things to a whole new level.
I want people to hate me. That's a business model. No one cares about you. You're boring, man. People would rather watch flies fuck than watch you fight. You know, he's not impressive. He sucks at fighting, and December 14th, I'm going to expose him.
Usman was fired up and ready for war, and with the entire MMA world behind him, he promised violence.
Let's make some noise on December 14th. You guys can't wait for me to murder this clown. Thank you.
But Colby was persistent that he'd be the one dealing the punishment.
This is what's going to happen tomorrow night. You see Marty Fake Newsman's ugly smug? I'm going to bounce it off the canvas, and I'm going to kick it into the third row. And maybe one of you lucky virgins will be able to catch it and take it home with you. Tune in tomorrow night, only on pay-per-view!
When the cage door closed, Usman and Covington went to war for 5 brutal rounds, with the champ dishing out slightly more punishment and breaking Covington's jaw in the process. In the 5th round, however, Usman dropped Covington with a big right hand and followed up with ground and pound, forcing referee Mark Goddard to step in and stop the fight. Neither humbled by the beating nor impressed by the ref's decision, Covington made sure everyone knew he thought the stoppage was premature.
And Mark Goddard is seeing this right in front of his face that I'm getting hit in the back of the head. You can go look at the video at the 5th round. I take 4 shots in the back of the head, and I'm completely coherent.
and I cover up the back of my head. And when I cover up the back of my head, he calls the fight.
The heated rivalry, coupled with the controversial outcome of the first fight, led to an inevitable rematch soon after at UFC 268, and this time round, things only got more heated between the two, and the champ didn't shy away from reminding Covington about breaking his jaw in their first encounter, to which Colby was quick to dive deep, scratching open Usman's past wounds.
And I broke your fucking jaw.
You took a fake timeout. The only thing you broke is your daddy out of prison. Where's that jailbird at? Is he in the building? We need the scam artist here, he's just like his son.
Usman's father, Nasiru Usman, had been jailed for pharmaceutical fraud after arriving in the US, leaving Usman to grow up without him, so the personal dig was pretty low, but Covington didn't stop there. He also accused the former champ of using steroids.
We saw the photos yesterday. What's all those injection marks around your stomach, bro?
Usman did his talking inside the cage. On fight night, the cage was quick to light up again, with both fighters trading heavy shots, and midway through the fight, fans made it clear who they were backing to win. However, this time round, the fight reached to the end, and Usman did enough to defeat Covington by a unanimous decision, cementing his dominance in the process. Colby wasn't happy with his performance and vowed to come back stronger.
You know, I think we have unfinished business. I'll go 5 more rounds out in the parking lot right now, and I'm serious about that. I will see him again. I'm not done with him. I'll fight whoever it takes to get back there.
Usman seemed content with finally settling the score.
This guy's tough as nails. It's very, very tough. Like, let's be honest, you know, Ali needed a Frazier. You know, all these guys, you know, you can be the great ones, but there's always going to be that one guy that's going to be able to push you. And he is that guy.
Sean Strickland versus Dricus du Plessis. After stepping in on short notice for the middleweight title fight against Israel Adesanya at UFC 293, which was initially offered to Dricus du Plessis, Strickland shocked the world by battering the champ and winning the belt. 4 months later, Tarzan put it on the line against Dricus du Plessis, who saw the worst of the Americans' verbal onslaught in the lead up to their battle.
I don't give a about that belt. I just want to make motherfuckers bleed. And Dricus is the next one who's going to bleed. I can't fucking wait.
He said he's going to walk through me, and I'm glad that you know you won't finish me. You won't even get close. But don't worry. There won't be enough.
I don't got
time
to worry
for you
about
to think
finishing.
about
Your coach will finish you in the back like you're used to. Don't worry about that. You're going to get finished that night. Your coach got you.
Until eventually, du Plessis hit it where it hurt the reigning champ the most, bringing up his painful childhood with an abusive father.
Bro, why are you so angry? Bro, you think your dad beat up you? Your dad doesn't have shit on me. I'm gonna show you what it's like to beat you. I mean, every childhood memory you have is gonna come back.
Strickland got all fired up and warned du Plessis that there would be dire consequences come fight night.
I will take your soul. You understand? You yeah, you laugh. You.
Yeah. Oh, I got a nerve. I see. I hit a nerve there.
Yeah, you did hit a nerve. You. Go ice your ankle. You coward.
Strickland even made a deal with du Plessis that they'd be fighting to the death.
Me and Dricus, we're gonna try to kill each other for you guys. Dricus, can I get an agreement? To the death. To the death. Yes!
The fight between the two was a 5-round war where du Plessis struggled early but came back in the final 3 rounds and managed to get an edge on Strickland, taking him down 6 times. The battle ended in a split decision victory for DDP in what was a razor-close fight. And while du Plessis celebrated 15 years of hard work, blood and sweat finally paying off,
it felt like 15 years of work, of dreaming, of sacrificing, of everything came together in one single sentence. It's incredible.
Strickland took to social media to claim he was robbed of a legitimate victory, alleging that the left-wing powers in Canada didn't want him to win because of his heavily right-winged political stance. He said in a tweet, "When does a champ ever lose a close fight? When you're in Canada with a bunch of dirty leftists. Du Plessis was quick to respond to Strickland's complaints with a cheeky jab, poking fun at the former champ for getting emotional while recalling his dark past on Theo Von's podcast just days before their fight. Du Plessis said, "Why don't you cry about it again?" Israel Adesanya versus Dricus Du Plessis. By the time Adesanya made his return to the cage at UFC 305, his arch-rival Dricus Du Plessis was the champion after he defeated Strickland, and Izzy wanted to teach the South African a lesson for his past comments about Adesanya, Kamaru Usman and Francis Ngannou not being real African champions.
Did those belts ever go to Africa? As far as I know, it came to America and New Zealand. I'm going to take a belt to Africa.
The build-up to their fight was as volatile as it gets, with Adesanya taking shots at Du Plessis from press conferences to face-offs.
If he wants to have to be perfect, if he feels that way, sure, but man, it's hard to do that against me. I just want to show you guys how great I am. And he said himself, like, he has the belt to prove that he's great. I was great without the belt. I was great before the belt, and I'll be great after the belt. I'm Israel Adesanya, and I'll remind you guys that I'm the last stylebender.
DDP didn't hold back either.
You're saying that I
Bro,
made it
shut
about
the fuck up. You don't even know anything about my story. You have no idea who the fuck I am.
I don't care about your story. I don't care about your story.
Listen, my father and myself had to wake up at 4 a.m. and clean the banks while my mom studies to be a nurse. You don't know my fucking story.
Man,
don't fucking speak of my story if you don't know my story.
I don't care.
I will show you who you are Sunday. So right now, shut the fuck up.
I can't wait.
But the South Africans' trash talking was a bit too tough to handle for Adesanya, who ended up shedding tears.
I do this for my family. I do this for the people I love, and I'll fight for you forever. I swear to God. Watch this. Look, I'm a fucking human being. I am a man. I can cry and whoop your ass at the same time. I feel the love from the crowd. First time I fought here, 2-2-1. That was February 2018. That was me making my dream come true. Sunday, I'm gonna fucking kill your dreams.
Adesanya seemed mentally shaken, and it showed in the cage. The fight was close until the 4th round, when Du Plessis rocked Adesanya with a big right hand. A takedown soon followed, and Du Plessis sealed the deal with a rear naked choke moments later. After the fight, Adesanya was humbled.
I already knew he was a fan of me. I knew he was a fan of me, but I guess now I'm a fan of his because we've been in there, we've done it. And when I'm in South Africa, I'll tap in with him. But I said, look, we can hang out, but just so you know, when we have to fight again, I'm going to kill you. He's like, I'm going to kill you too.
Du Plessis gave his rival his flowers too, and the rivalry was over.
I landed quite a lot of big shots. The man can take a punch, but you can only take that many. You know, he kicks like an absent. Jeez. The man kicks hard.
Juliana Pena versus Amanda Nunes. Pena first challenged long-reigning bantamweight champ Nunes at UFC 269, where the Brazilian blew her gas tank in an attempt to stop Pena early and was then choked out in round 2. It was the biggest upset in women's MMA history, and Nunes blamed it on illness.
I let the fight fell through once because I got the COVID. I don't wanna let the fight fell through again. A lot of things went wrong. I was have a hard time to keep training, you know, but sometimes we do mistakes, and I paid that night.
Nobody bought her reasoning, thinking the GOAT had finally hit a downward slope, but Nunes was adamant to prove her doubters wrong. Being the smart talker that she is, Pena outfoxed Nunes during media appearances.
She really is gonna face a lion she didn't see last time. So I'm ready.
I'm the real Leo Lion, and it's Leo season, guys, so strap up.
Pena belittled Nunes' achievements, claiming she didn't belong in the same league as legends like Fedor Emelianenko or Mike Tyson, despite her legendary resume.
Fedor Emelianenko has an aura. Mike Tyson, Dana White, they have auras. I don't know about this aura that you speak of with Amanda Nunes. I'm not seeing it.
She even claimed that she'd go to any lengths to get the win.
I am going to punch, kick, pull her hair. I'm going to bite her. I'm going to gouge her eyeballs out if I have to. I'm literally going to do everything in there. Trust me when I say I am ready and willing to die. Whatever it takes, I'm going to do whatever it takes.
Nunes refused to talk much as she was only focused on getting her belt back.
She can say whatever she wants. You know, we here Saturday, we're gonna be there 100% and we're gonna beat her. That Saturday is my opportunity to get my belt back. And we're gonna be becoming the double champ again, Saturday.
When the cage door closed, Nunes smashed Peña's face with her powerful fists, dropping her multiple times and leaving her bruised, battered, and bloodied up by the end of the 5th round. Peña was too tough for her own good, and despite losing by a unanimous decision, she called for a trilogy. Nunes, however, chose to live in the moment and celebrate her win, which proved that she was the better fighter.
I know Juliana stuff. Like, I know I was always ready for that. You know, I could finish her, but I want to go 5 rounds with her tonight to prove I was better than her.
Conor McGregor versus Dustin Poirier. Now, McGregor has fought UFC veteran Dustin Poirier 3 times in his career, and the two have had a love-hate relationship since the first time they met. The first fight was at featherweight in 2014, when McGregor got under Poirier's skin so badly that the Diamond absolutely hated him.
Don't get me wrong, I like the kid. He's a quiet little hillbilly from the back ass of nowhere. You know, I've nothing against the guy, you know what I mean?
I've never disliked somebody that much that I've ever fought.
But things worked out in McGregor's favour for the first fight, and he knocked Poirier out in the first round. Their second fight took place at lightweight years later at UFC 257, where Poirier was older and wiser, and when a nice guy McGregor was surprisingly friendly to Poirier. The Irishman even promised Poirier a $500,000 donation to his Good Fight Foundation. Even in the press conference, McGregor was nicer than we've ever seen.
Dustin's a hell of a competitor. I know there's questions here. He's heavier. He's up on a different weight, but he's more experienced. I feel I can do it.
Unfortunately for McGregor, Poirier proved to be the better fighter as he chopped McGregor's legs down like a tree before knocking him out in the second round. Now 1-1, the two continued to show respect to each other post-fight.
Honored to share the outcome, but we will do it again, all right? Cool, man. Thank you so much. Congratulations. Enjoy everything. Thank you, guys.
But things were quick to take a turn. A couple of months after UFC 257, things were back to square one after Poirier accused McGregor of not fulfilling his donation promise. McGregor fired the shot by saying he'd knock Poirier out in their trilogy, which is already scheduled for UFC 264. Poirier responded by saying, "That's a fun prediction, Conor. You also predicted a donation to my foundation, and you and your team stopped responding after the fight in January." McGregor fired back by saying that it was a donation and not a debt. Naturally, things got fiery pre-fight, with McGregor delivering some of his most volatile moments on the mic.
I don't give a fuck for him, to be honest. It's just how I am. He's a corpse, a dead body, a blank face. It's gonna get whooped and took out on a stretcher.
Joe, in 16 hours time, this man is gonna learn that if you disrespect a person's kindness and take it as a weakness, you must pay. Tomorrow night, I'm gonna make this man pay with his life, and I mean it. You're dead in that octagon tomorrow night.
For Poirier, it was purely business, but for McGregor, it was personal.
Is this getting personal for you at this point?
Nah, straight business, man. This is,
You're only a little bitch. Your wife is your husband. You're only a little bitch of a thing, a silly little hillbilly.
Mystic Mac even predicted this.
I'm gonna take him out in a stretcher. He's going out in a stretcher in this fight.
Guess who was the one stretched out? The actual battle between the two was competitive, but Poirier landed the biggest shots and even hurt McGregor before the Irishman broke his tibia seconds before the end of the first round and lost by a doctor's stoppage. McGregor was still fierce as he gave an iconic speech post-fight.
This is not over. If we have to take this outside with him, it's all outside. We don't give a
He believes that one of the kicks that he checked is what broke your leg.
There was no check. There was not one of them I checked. Your wife is in me DMs. Hey, baby, hit me back on my chat here later on.
Poirier was just as game.
Do you feel like the rivalry is over? Or do you feel like...
No, we are going to fight again, whether it's in the octagon or on the sidewalk. You don't say the stuff he said.
James Vick versus Justin Gaethje. Vic enjoyed a strong start to his UFC career, winning 9 out of his first 10 fights. However, success seemed to inflate his ego to the point where he dared to talk crap about Justin Gaethje.
Welcome to the big show. You get to fight the main event. You made it, buddy.
Yeah, thank you, man. It's your last main event. You're about to be on a 3-fight losing streak and shipping your back to the B League to fight tomato cans again.
And I'll still have more money in my bank account.
I got more money than you right now, bro. I fought 4 times in the last year and I won my fights. You lost 2 out of 3. You fucking suck, dude.
The Arizona native chose to respond with actions rather than words, and when the cage door closed, he knocked Vic out cold with a powerful right hand in under 90 seconds. Gaethje later felt bad for his opponent.
Right here at the top, I felt bad for him, but then all up in here felt just amazing. Yeah. So I was good, man.
Vic, on the other hand, had no regrets about his boldness.
If I went back and I'd do the exact same thing because that's what I had to do to get the fight. That's what I did to promote the fight, and I spoke from the heart, you know. So, you know, it didn't turn out right for me fight-wise, but I mean, you know, what can you do?
Cody Garbrandt versus Kai Kara France. After decimating Dominick Cruz to win the bantamweight title at UFC 207, Garbrandt lost 4 out of his next 5 fights and decided to move down to flyweight, where he faced the game Kai Kara France at UFC 269. Thinking he was the bigger and better fighter, Garbrandt accused Kai of begging to fight him.
Kai Kara France came up. It was a great fight. You know, this dude begged me to fight. He put himself in this situation. I worked for this opportunity. There's a different mindset. He has an average mindset, I have an elite mindset. And that's what's the difference in this fight's gonna be.
Cody was actually more focused on trying to get under Sean O'Malley's skin than his next opponent.
There is a man further down that table that you've had a lot of war words with on Twitter, so.
Let's go. Hey, listen, this dude, he comes out here and he does the thing, he walks his walk, he dresses, does the hair. But he's got different problems than no-love problems. He's got Holion to my right, and Holion is battle-tested in here way farther than he's ever been.
Kai's response to Cody's trash talking was short and sweet.
Kai, do you have any response to that?
I guess we'll find out come Saturday night, you know? Bring that same energy.
And that's the best thing about this sport. We can talk all we want. Come Saturday night, you're gonna find out.
Cody continued to chirp during the face-offs as well. Despite talking big, Cody failed to deliver when it truly mattered. Inside the cage, the two circled for 2 minutes before Kai dropped Cody with a big overhand right. Cody survived the first blow, but only to be sent to the dark lands with a ferocious combo that kicked off with another overhand right. Kai thought Cody paid the price for underestimating him.
You mentioned that you don't think he took you seriously. Do you think that's because he was dropping from bantamweight and he kind of just felt like the bigger guy and that sort of stuff, you know?
Oh, definitely, you know, these...
Nah, you're just that good, That's what you're gonna say, kid. You're just that good. He's good, he's a former champ, but you're better.
There we go. Talk your then.
The former bantamweight champ, however, was nowhere to be seen. Leon Edwards versus Belal Muhammad. Despite being on a solid 10-fight unbeaten run with wins against former title challengers Gilbert Burns and Stephen Thompson, wrestling ace Belal Muhammad was a heavy underdog heading into his welterweight title fight against Leon Edwards at UFC 304. The reason was their first fight in 2021, which was going Edwards' way until an eye poke ruled it a no contest. Edwards was also riding high thanks to twin wins against Kamaru Usman, as well as a 12-fight winning streak, so he didn't consider Belal a threat.
You're in a Khabib or like a GSP. It's Belal, you know what I mean? It's just like...
Throughout fight week, Edwards predicted a brutal knockout.
Yeah, knock out, bro. Yeah, you know that. You know that. Too slow, too small, too slow. The range is too... You get knocked out. End of.
Just days before the event, the two had a very awkward encounter whilst riding the elevator.
I remember the name. Come on, boys. So let's slide in, boys. Someone hit one. Press the button. Come on, fellas. Yes, but...
What's the drama?
And Belal was probably the only person who believed in himself.
July 27th, I'm gonna be the best form that I've ever been. And that's gonna be your worst nightmare.
But Belal was about to prove that his own belief was the only belief he needed. In the main event at UFC 304, the Palestinian dominated Edwards for nearly 4 rounds, pressuring the champion and securing takedowns at will, even smashing the champ on his head. Not only that, Belal won the striking exchanges as well, with Edwards' only shining moment coming late in the 5th round through brutal elbows. Ultimately, Belal won by a unanimous decision to claim the belt. It was essentially a one-sided beatdown, which Belal knew he was capable of dishing out.
I don't need the world to believe in me. I don't need anybody to believe in me. We don't need applause. We know how good we are. We know what we're capable of doing. And now we're the world champions.
Since the fight took place at 5 AM in Manchester, England, Edwards blamed timing issues for his loss.
My body just felt tired, you know, from round 1. All week I've been feeling I'm just tired from the timing, but...
Luke Rockhold versus Michael Bisping. When Michael Bisping stepped in on short notice to fight Luke Rockhold at UFC 199, Rockhold was full of confidence. He had already beaten Bisping before and was sure he would do it again.
You're just an average bloke.
Good use of English
I'm a fucking
terminology.
samurai. I'm gonna come in there silent,
the is
undetected,
this?
and I'm gonna knock you out. I'm gonna make my kill, and I'm gonna
Stop
be out.
You're making a
I'll
fool
be out
of
on the
yourself.
next contract. Watch me.
All right, buddy.
I've been dealing with a knee injury. I'm not gonna lie, this whole camp, but I don't pull out of fights. I fight through injuries. I don't care what the circumstances are. I tore my MCL. I haven't grappled. I haven't grappled this whole camp.
What's with the insurance policy, buddy?
I don't care about insurance policy. I don't need an insurance policy to beat your ass. I don't need a knee. I don't need to walk. I'll crawl in that cage.
Stop telling everybody about your injuries then.
Whoop your ass.
Bisping was cocky too, no doubt about it, but he had the crowd on his side, and that gave him all the motivation that he needed.
That's how you overcome things. That's how you put yourself out there. You believe it, and you achieve it. And that's what I do. I know what I'm gonna do. I know that I'm better than this.
Sounds like the worst self-help book you've ever read. Conceive, believe, achieve. Shut the fuck up. Listen.
When they stepped into the cage, Bisping was the sharper fighter, moving effortlessly and shutting down Rockhold's grappling. On the feet, the Brit was landing clean shots, and just minutes into the first round, he cracked Rockhold with a brutal left hook that had him wobbling. Bisping then swarmed him with punches and knocked him out cold to gain the middleweight's title. Even after the loss, Rockhold kept his usual cocky attitude.
Some say revenge is sweet. I disagree. I think it's better than sweet. Luke, come on, buddy. When the shoe was on the other foot, I leaned over and thanked you at this moment in time. I said, well done.
Yeah, and I actually picked you up off the canvas. And you, being the dick you are, came up to me and was a bitch
I shook
about
your
it.
hand, and you said, I already shook your hand and told me to fuck off, basically.
You asked me, do you know who you are? Do you know where you are, buddy?
Yeah, that's after you.
Yeah,
Hey, buddy, you got knocked the fuck
dick.
out. You got knocked out, buddy. Sit down, shut up.
You got lucky.
All right,
You got lucky.
yeah, real lucky.
Busy.
First round, buddy.
First round.
What an asshole, guys.
I will come back and fucking kill you.
Justin Gaethje versus Charles Oliveira. Once seen as a journeyman who crumbled under pressure, Charles Oliveira transformed into an unstoppable force after 2018 and fought his way to the title in 2022. But despite his 10-fight win streak, Justin Gaethje refused to acknowledge his greatness in the lead-up to their title fight at UFC 274.
You know, all my criticism of Charles is from a kid that we were talking about, that we all watched grow. And now we're talking about a man with confidence. It's a different person, but ultimately, the same Charles is still there. Same Charles that fought Cub Swanson, same Charles that fought Donald Cerrone, same Charles that fought RDA, Pettis. Choices were made in that by him, and the choice to quit was made. And I'm going to give him that choice on Saturday night. I guarantee that.
Gaethje even claimed Oliveira was nothing special and definitely not on the level of Khabib, who had dominated the American in their title unifier at UFC 254.
The narrative is like that he used to quit, and a lot of people say, yeah, but he's answered that. He doesn't quit anymore.
That's fine. I think that's true. However, you know, once a coward, always a coward. I'm not calling him a coward, but I'm saying that's you can't just take that away. It's there. Khabib never showed you that, and that's why you can't compare those two.
Gaethje continued on, saying that Oliveira would have to walk through hell to beat him.
He's going to have to walk through hell like Khabib did, and, you know, he's not as powerful. He doesn't have the structure. He doesn't have the frame, and he doesn't have explosive takedowns. He's going to have to find me, making a mistake, overreaching, and try to get into a grappling situation. Outside that, he better be praying every day that he gets me to the ground.
Oliveira couldn't care less about the trash talking as he was solely focused on the fight.
He can talk whatever he wants to talk. The hype, the talk doesn't bother me at all. I'm here to focus on what I'm going to do. I'm here to focus on Charles Oliveira, and the champion is going to be Charles Oliveira. I'm the champion of the division. I don't care what he says.
A day before the fight, Oliveira missed weight by half a pound and was stripped of his belt. Only Gaethje could claim gold, but the Brazilian still put on a violent show. On fight night, Oliveira got dropped early, but knowing that he's a jiu-jitsu wizard, Gaethje refused to follow him to the ground despite having him hurt. Oliveira shortly after recovered and returned the favor with a massive right hand and choked Gaethje out in the first round. Almost 2 years after the fight, a humbled Gaethje admitted that Oliveira had terrifying knockout power.
Who has hit you the hardest?
Oh, I think the best shot that landed on me was from Oliveira. It's the same shot 100 times. You don't see it one time, and it's just so much more effective. That was the case that night. He caught me off guard by surprise, and it hurt. It hurt.
Marvin Vettori versus Israel Adesanya. The last Stylebender's contendership days were dominant as he dispatched one tough dude after another. It was like a walk in the park for Izzy, except for a tough third and final round against Marvin Vettori, who still thinks he actually won their first fight in 2018.
I won that fight, and but now we get to settle the score.
Nevertheless, Vettori went on quite a streak after his loss to Izzy and earned his rematch with the Nigerian New Zealander after he became the champion. Vettori was super cocky and at times delusional during the press conferences and interviews.
I'm the f***ing champion and you ain't. Not gonna be for long. I'm taking everything. I'm stripping everything. I can't even hear what you're saying. I'm taking everything.
Hey.
Buy some New Year's.
Stand up. Stand up.
The AirPods wasn't working.
Stand up. Your pants is on backwards. Your pants is on backwards.
Up. You're full of shit. I proved you wrong so many times you don't even know anymore.
The crowd was on Izzy's side and Vettori didn't like that one bit.
These are real people that believe into your own bullshit hype, and they're all gonna get shut up.
Vettori even got all riled up at the end of their presser and wanted to throw hands there and then.
You tried to ignore me, here I am. I never happened that. Look at me. Try me now. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Try it again. Try me again. Look at him. You know what that's called? That's called roid rage.
Unfortunately, Vettori's bravado and aggression went down the drain when he became a laughingstock for MMA fans for wearing his fight shorts the wrong way during pre-fight photo shoots. This time round, the fight was completely one-sided with Izzy decimating Vettori and winning by a comfortable unanimous decision. Despite his dominant defeat, Vettori thought he won. Izzy didn't take him seriously though.
At the end of the fight, I was like, you can at least say I won that one. He's like, what? This one? I was like, are you serious? He's like, I won that. I'm like, oh, no, we can't. I just, Eric Cartman mentality, man. It's just, you got to believe your own sometimes.
And maybe that's why Vettori still thinks he's better than Adesanya even after 2 defeats.
He wasn't like more skill. He didn't have more cardio. He didn't have more like anything really. He was smart.
Eddie Alvarez versus Conor McGregor. The Irishman's rise in the UFC was insane. He came, he saw, and he conquered every featherweight in the UFC, including champion Jose Aldo, who was knocked out in only 13 seconds. The cocky and brash Irishman didn't have an equal on the mic until he battled Eddie Alvarez for the lightweight belt.
This guy TKOs people. When I knock people out, they don't fucking move. Who the fuck is that guy?
McGregor drew first blood by warning that he'd beat Alvarez so badly that his wife and kids won't recognize him. McGregor's words rubbed Alvarez the wrong way and the American's response was just as fiery.
I came for an apology from him. I want an apology for saying my wife and kids. Suck these big Irish balls. If you don't apologize, then I'm gonna make them beg.
Alvarez also called the Notorious One an ordinary fighter and the easiest payday of his life.
I was okay with the money. I was gonna negotiate the money. only reason, because this guy's easy. He's easy money. He's not a championship fighter. He's never been. And he's never, ever fought anyone in the UFC like me, ever.
When the cage door closed, McGregor was anything but easy as he put on a striking clinic and stopped the champ by TKO in the second round. Needless to say, Alvarez was bruised, battered, and humbled.
I'm disappointed. I didn't fight a good fight. I think I went in with a plan and stick to the plan. I think I paid for it. So.
McGregor was obviously over the moon for putting on the best performance of his life, and he felt that he was only entering his prime.
I feel like I'm only reaching my prime. I'm only 28, not long 28. So, I feel good.
Paulo Costa versus Israel Adesanya. The Brazilian first called Adesanya out after his war against Yoel Romero at UFC 241, 2 months before Adesanya's title unification bout against Robert Whittaker at UFC 243. Costa warned Izzy of dire consequences in case he won the belt.
If Adesanya take this belt anyway, I will kill him.
Immediately after winning the belt, Adesanya produced an absolute stinker of a title defense against Yoel Romero, which bored the hell out of everyone, including Costa, who called the champ shameful for only landing 48 strikes in the 5-round fight.
Adesanya is nothing. Adesanya is the most shameful champion I have seen ever. I will hit him very badly, and he will cry like a baby.
The two were eventually booked to fight at UFC 253, and Costa continued to ridicule Adesanya, this time targeting his earrings.
Yeah, I like his earrings. He's beautiful. I
said I can fit it on him.
Mom
I said
has one.
I'll fit this on him on Saturday night.
I think my mom has one very similar of his.
While Costa produced a few highlight reel moments outside of the cage, inside of it, it was one-way traffic, with Adesanya chopping his legs down in round 1 before displaying his sniper-like precision with counters and knocking his foe out cold in the second round. Adesanya followed up with some dry ping, which didn't sit well with Costa, who called Izzy a human trash in the aftermath.
I come here to talk about the action that human trash did. This is mortal now. Nobody can stop me. I want my rematch.
Adesanya reacted to his win by saying that he was far better in every area.
I'm 10 steps ahead. I told you guys, I'm 10 steps ahead. You guys think these are just words.
Kevin Lee versus Tony Ferguson. Kevin Lee burst onto the scene in 2016 and 2017, securing 5 victories in as many fights in the UFC lightweight division. By mid-2017, the wrestling ace had started calling out big names like Khabib Nurmagomedov, pointing out that he saw holes in his game.
You go back to Khabib and all this, like his style it's good. It's obviously very good, but I can see a lot of holes in it.
Lee also saw holes in Tony Ferguson's game. In an interview with the UFC, Lee said, "He's talking about training like a caveman. There's a reason why cavemen are extinct. They don't last too long. I don't think Ferguson has filled the holes in his game. I'm gonna go out there and show those holes." In late 2017, Lee got his chance to exploit the holes in Ferguson's game when the UFC booked the two in an interim lightweight title fight. The build-up to the fight was intense, with Lee reiterating his past comments.
Do you see any weaknesses?
Yeah, I see a lot of holes in his game. The man ain't fought in over a year. You know, he's 33, and it's gonna take him a lot for him to fill up them holes. And regardless if I win or lose, I handle it like a real champ. I go back, I look at what I did right, I look at what I did wrong, and then I correct those. And I don't feel like that he do that.
Now, credit where it's due, Lee did manage to give Ferguson a bit of trouble when the two went toe-to-toe at UFC 216, but Tony ultimately sealed the deal with a triangle choke.
There's the tap! Tony Ferguson has done it!
Ferguson praised his opponent for showing up when nobody else wanted to.
I didn't want to say anything against Kevin Lee. He didn't deserve to be up here, but he showed that tonight. He was the only game opponent that wanted to sign a dotted line. He made the weight.
Lee was humble in defeat too.
It might have been a lot of back and forth before, but we come from the same alma mater. I know how tough Tony Ferguson is, and he's the best man in the world.
However, the loss derailed Lee's hype train and he could never recover from it, losing 5 of his next 7 UFC fights before retiring from the sport once and for all. Alexander Hernandez versus Donald Cerrone. Now, as we all know, and if you don't, Donald Cerrone is an absolute G. He has been there with some of the world's best fighters, and he's a future Hall of Famer, which means he deserves a ton of respect, right? Alexander Hernandez begged to differ when he fought Cowboy in 2019.
It's everything it's supposed to be, you know. First, grateful to Cowboy for taking the fight, maybe against his better judgment. And with that being said, though, you know, I'm not drawn in by the promotion, the city, even his image or persona of anything. I just see myself facing an insecure little lad swinging on a saddle with a pop gun and a feather in his hat.
Cerrone was naturally angry, and so he smacked sense into the young and hungry kid throughout their fight, beating him from pillar to post before knocking him out with one of the nastiest head kicks ever, followed by ground and pound. The Great Ape had a shining 10-1 record when he fought Cerrone, so of course, a bit of cockiness is natural, but he took to Instagram after the fight, admitting that the veteran taught him a valuable lesson, that he went into every fight feeling untouchable, and that he needs to learn how to fight. Nurmagomedov versus Merab Dvalishvili. Right after Merab defeated O'Malley, Umar called Merab out and told him to fight a real challenger. But when the tweet was brought to Merab's attention, he turned it down, pointing to Umar's lack of big wins in the UFC.
Yeah, he's okay, but I'm telling you guys, from top 15, he only win one fight.
Merab's refusal was quickly labelled as fear by Umar, fellow fighters as well as fans.
It's looking like very bad. It's looking like he tried to avoid, like he's scared.
I think Merab's scared of Umar and would rather fight me. He would probably look at me as an easier fight.
You put out a tweet saying that you want to fight O'Malley in November. Does that mean you are scared of Umar?
Let's boo to this guy.
Merab was obviously not happy, and he confronted Umar backstage for the disrespect.
Where? In the cricket.
What I said?
What you say? Why you disrespect?
Because I want. What you can do?
Why you disrespect? Come here.
I will be in Vegas. Call me anytime.
Now come here. Now I'm here now.
And he said that before your press conference last month, he saw you backstage and said, "Why are you disrespecting me?" And you said, "Because I want to do something about it." But then you went out to the press conference and you said, "Oh, I haven't said anything disrespectful." Do you remember that interaction?
Of course, I remember that moment. And when he asked to me, okay, I saw him, right? I smiled to him and go to do interview. And he come to ask to me, "Why you disrespect me?" Okay, he have question, "Why you disrespect me?" I want to tell him, what are you talking about? Exactly what I said. I'm not his son, you know. He can't ask to me like father and son, like, why you do this? He not my father, you know. Of course, I want to tell him like, because of I want what you can do.
The Russian kept taking shots at the champ every chance he got until the fight was finally booked for UFC 311, and the trash talk got even more heated when they went face to face.
You are piece of shit, okay? You are piece of shit. You lost respect. You lost respect as a man for me, okay? Real men don't talk in trash online, okay?
I just described your behavior. You try to avoid me. You even doesn't mention my name.
Who are you? Who you fought? You don't even tell you think I'm gonna go backwards and fight number 15?
I'm gonna show you.
I'm fighting for the belt.
I'm gonna take this belt
champion.
and you know it.
The fight was just as fiery as the build-up. Umar took control early, winning the first 2 rounds, but Merab flipped the script with relentless pressure, storming back to claim the last 3 and hand Umar his first career loss, which the Russian refused to concede, taking to Instagram to say that he was apparently robbed. Since then, the original post has actually been edited, to which Umar has deleted the words that he thought he won. Merab, however, chose to bury the hatchet on his end.
But I don't have nothing against him. I know, like I was really mad, like when he disrespected me, and he said I was attacking him. I never attacked. Every time UFC asked me to fight him, I said okay, I will fight. But yeah, all the respect, no problem. I was mad, really mad, but now I'm good. I'm all done, no problem.
Bobby King Green versus Islam Makhachev. When Bobby Green fought Islam Makhachev, the latter wasn't the UFC lightweight champion. Instead, he was the scariest contender in the division, boasting a 9-fight winning streak. The Dagestani was smashing everybody with his wrestling-heavy style, for which he earned the praise of everybody but one guy who went by the name of Bobby Green.
You ready? Yes, sir. Let's go. Let's go. Let's bring. You're not ready. Bring shit. Bring shit. Not ready. That's what we do. You got me. You know this. You know this. All right, John. I'm not going nowhere. Thank you. 5 rounds. Let's go.
The American thought Makhachev was boring and one-dimensional, and of course, that he'd beat him.
With Islam, he does what he does, but to be honest, it's kind of boring. You know, even if he getting finishes, it's still been boring. And so, my whole thing is entertainment, excitement, you know? So he can be championship material, but it's just getting boring. Nobody wants to see it. I fall asleep watching his fights. And then it's like, oh, there's the finish. And like, so they can show a bunch of finishes, which is cool. But it was sleeping, it was boring, it was lackluster.
And Makhachev promised to do his talking inside the cage.
We're gonna talk inside the cage. I'm gonna take him down and tell them, hey, let's go, get up.
So you'll be the one talking?
Yeah, I'm gonna talk. He gonna talk with me when we beginning striking, but when I'm gonna take him down, I'm gonna ask him a couple questions.
On fight night, Green couldn't even touch Makhachev with anything significant. He was taken down and absolutely smashed. Green still wasn't impressed with Makhachev's strength and skill. In fact, he went as far as attributing it to gym candy.
Imagine if you gave someone steroids from the age of 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, how strong you would be. People were like he was really strong. It makes sense now.
Petr Yan versus Sean O'Malley. The pre-fight trash talking was hilarious.
Just look at him, he's like a on the side of the road.
And Petr Yan thought he was much better.
Do you feel skill-wise like he is on your level?
Yes. I don't think we're on the same level. I believe I'm better fighter than him and in all aspects, you know.
Even the pre-fight face-off was pretty spicy. The fight was just as good as the build-up as both men punished each other. O'Malley in particular blew everyone out of the water by producing a solid 3-round performance that earned him a razor-close victory, which proved that he was legit.
I think I went out there and just proved that, you know, I belong in the top of the division.
Yan, however, wasn't happy with the decision. Kai Asakura versus Alessandro Pantoja. Heading into his UFC 310 flyweight title fight against Alessandro Pantoja, former Ryzen bantamweight champ Kai Asakura was super cocky, claiming that the UFC had not seen a talent like him.
The UFC fans have never seen anybody like me fight ever before. I always aim to go for a KO finish. I'm an exciting fighter and I'm here to bring excitement back to the flyweight division.
Not only that, he even boldly claimed that he was going to be the one to make the flyweight division great again.
I don't have any feeling that Pantoja's too old. I think actually he's probably at the peak of his performance. He's an excellent all-round fighter. And but for me, it's obvious that going forward in the future, there needs to be a change and there needs to be a new king in town. And that's why I'm here to take over the flyweight division.
Tomorrow, I will build the show. I will become UFC champion. I will change flyweight division. Come, baby!
Pantoja didn't pay much attention to Asakura's antics, knowing the Japanese fighter was probably just putting on a show.
At media day, he said, you know, there's a new king in town. He's here to bring excitement back to the flyweight division. So I'm curious, when you hear these words, do you take that as personal to you in the division, or is it just him trying to build the fight?
He tried to make it more spice, you know, and I like that, you know. That's a new blood for the division, like you say, and this is not just good for me, but for whole division, you know.
The UFC champ was calm and confident heading into the fight, and he brushed Asakura aside with ease, choking him out in the second round, successfully defending his flyweight belt for the third time. As cocky as Asakura was in the build-up, he later admitted that he just wasn't good enough yet to take down Pantoja. Pantoja, however, knew exactly what he was capable of, so he was the least bit surprised. TJ Dillashaw versus Henry Cejudo. Former two-time UFC bantamweight champion TJ Dillashaw was on the top of the world after beating Cody Garbrandt twice in 2017, so much so that he thought moving down to flyweight to become a two-division champ was a good idea. Initially, Dillashaw wanted a super fight with Demetrius Johnson, but Cejudo's victory over the GOAT put him in his place instead, and given the fact that TJ had achieved more up until that point in time, he was very confident, or should I say overconfident, heading into the fight.
He hasn't dealt with my movement. He hasn't dealt with me mixing it up. I'm going to knock out Henry Cejudo. I'll take that belt. He's been begging me to take that belt off his shoulder. It's too much weight for him. You know, that gold medal's light. This UFC belt's got a lot more weight to it. I'm going to take it right off his shoulder.
You better be careful what you wish for, man. I'm gonna stomp you at whatever weight you want, man. 135 pounds, 125 pounds. It's the golden rule, man. A guy with the gold makes the rule. Olympic champ, UFC champ. I want your belt. That belt is coming home to Phoenix.
I'm gonna run right through you.
No, I'm a different fighter, man. You know that. I can tell you respect me.
Yeah, I got respect for you.
I can tell you.
Gold medalist. I can't wait to take that too. I'll take it off you.
Cejudo did most of his talking inside the cage, where he cracked Dillashaw early and then TKO'd him in just 30-odd seconds.
Big right from Cejudo! Henry Cejudo knocks TJ Dillashaw out round one!
Dillashaw thought the referee's stoppage was premature and that he was robbed.
Sucks, man. Sucks to have it stolen from you. You know, I worked my off. So much better than that, and it'd be nice to actually get the chance to show it. You know, it's a title fight. It's a champ versus champ fight, and you're gonna stop the fight like that? I'm in on a single leg. He says, hey, show me something. I said, I'm okay. I'm on a single leg in a scramble. He stops punching, he's defending a single leg, and you're gonna stop the fight? It's just ridiculous, man. It's pretty pathetic that I have better knowledge than that ref.
Things went from bad to worse for Dillashaw a few days later when he popped for EPO and was slapped with a 2-year suspension that destroyed what could have been a legendary legacy.
I messed up. Been having a hard time trying to forgive myself for this.
Colby Covington versus Joaquin Buckley. When Covington fought Joaquin Buckley in 2024, he was coming off 2 brutal losses in title fights against Kamaru Usman and Leon Edwards, but his confidence was still alive and kicking.
Buckley. I mean, does it really matter? He's irrelevant. He's an absolute nobody. So, you know, I haven't done any research on him and I didn't care to. He's just, you know, he should be happy that he's getting the privilege to fight me. So.
I'm the superstar in this division. I call the shots. You know, I am the champion. Everybody knows I'm the king of Miami. So I think after Saturday night when I convincingly beat Buckley, you know, I'm next in line for the title.
Colby even brought in the undisputed, undefeated GOAT of trash talking to back up his words.
I'm gonna have my head coach and my role model speaking for me tonight.
I came to tell you, when you're the greatest fighter in the world today, they got a name for you. They don't call you a great fighter, they call you Chaos Covington, only in the octagon, 10 o'clock Eastern.
For Buckley, all of Covington's antics were just proof that he was drowning in nerves.
It's that anxiety, you know what I'm saying? It's that build up, that nervous energy. Like my coach Reg ended up seeing Colby Covington. I haven't gotten to see him yet, but he ended up seeing him in person. But he looking like real nervous, just sitting up on the wall, just random, you know?
The fight was all Buckley from the start, as he picked Covington apart with his striking to own every round. The fight finally ended late in the third when the doctor had seen enough, calling it off due to a massive leaking cut from the beating Colby had taken. And as expected, Colby wasn't too thrilled about the stoppage.
I think it was tied up 1-1, and I was starting to wear on him. I could see him breathe it out of his mouth. I was starting to catch him on more shots. So it's unfortunate that they stopped it. You know, even Dana came out and said, if that was in Vegas, that would have never been stopped. So, you know, I took his hardest shots and they weren't nothing. They didn't faze me at all.
Chael Sonnen versus John Jones. The bad guy first agreed to fight Jones at UFC 151 when Dan Henderson, who was originally scheduled to the fight, pulled out and no one but Chael was willing to step in. Jones refused to fight Sonnen on short notice, so the UFC had to scrap the entire event. Dana, however, rewarded Sonnen for being a company man by giving him a shot at Jones at UFC 159, despite the fact that he was coming off a second loss to Anderson Silva. Despite his recent loss, Chael trashed Jones at every opportunity.
You previously have competed at 185 pounds. You will now be fighting at 205 when you fight John. You're looking pretty big. Tell me, what are you walking around at?
Joe, I don't promote fights. I pick fights. I'm better than John Jones. I'm better than Sean Combs. I am even better than John Holmes.
4 days away from taking on John Bones Jones.
Now introduce him correctly. 4 days away from taking on John, soon-to-be former champion, Bones Jones.
Soon-to-be former.
Sonnen refused to put his foot off the gas pedal.
John said you've been fighting the same style for a very long time, and he doesn't understand it. Can you explain it?
Yeah, he's right. I mean, if it's not broke, you don't need to fix it. Yeah, I got the same style, and there's no secrets about it. And you can let John know when that bell rings, I'm going to put my chin down, walk across the cage, and put him on his ass.
Jones didn't mind Chael's trash talking because he knew the bad guy was just messing around.
He's crazy. You know, Chael's crazy, so it doesn't count. It's like, you know, Chael's a gentleman. He's this promoter, this ruthless, disrespectful, say anything about anyone promoter, which is, I'm not really sure if I agree with that. And then he is he's a tactical fighter.
The fight wasn't even close. Jones took Sonnen down and battered him before finishing him with brutal elbows, but not before Chael had Jones' toe split into two. Nevertheless, Chael was frustrated after the defeat.
What am I gonna do? I'm terrible. I lost to two guys, one much younger. What are you gonna do? Put me with Wanderlei Silva? I don't know who else I'm supposed to beat around here. It's tough. Look, I've had a lot of fights and they haven't all gone my way, but I've only been beat up twice, and that was number 2. You know, Andy beat me at my own game, and it's frustrating, it's tough, and that's it.
For Jones, it was simply the beginning of his journey to GOAT status.
I aspire to be the greatest at something. Maybe it sounds arrogant, but I owe it to myself. You know, this is my life. And a lot of other people are, you know, you guys can report on it, or a fan could watch it, but for me, I have to breathe, eat, and sleep this. So aspiring to be the greatest is something I owe to myself, and that's what I want to be, is the greatest. And I believe that's what will happen.